Go to the phones. We got Blaine in Shepherdsville, Kentucky. It's great to have you on Open Line Friday. Hi.
Hi, how you doing? Mega Digos, Rush.
Thank you very
What I'd
much.
like to say is that I hope that Mr. Trump did not mean mandate. He did mention that there are doctors in hospitals that are underperforming. Maybe funnel the uninsured people and the people with pre-existing conditions to those locations.
Well, what do you think he meant if he didn't mean mandate?
Well, maybe it was a faux pas. I'm not sure, but because they used the word mandate, maybe that's why he used the word mandate. But
well, maybe okay. In the question, he might have been responding because the question had the word. Let's listen. Let's
at least
grab
I hope
some.
he did not mean mandate.
I do too. Let's listen to the whole thing. Grab number 8. Here's the question from Anderson Cooper. Mr. Trump, if Obamacare is repealed and there's no mandate, and folks, I'm telling you, without a mandate, that you can't have Obamacare. It can't survive. That's what that whole first Supreme Court case was about. That's why it's asinine what happened in that case. It's just Supreme Court rewrote the law. John Roberts rewrote the law to make it constitutional. The whole argument whether it's a tax or a mandate, the government can assess taxes, the fine aspect, it just is such a mess. Anyway, I distract myself. The question again, Mr. Trump, if Obamacare is repealed and there's no mandate for everybody to have insurance, so mandate's defined in the question. If there's no mandate for everybody to have insurance, why would insurance companies insure somebody who has a pre-existing condition? And here's Mr. Trump's just the first part of the answer. We're not going to listen to the whole thing.
Well, I like the mandate. Okay, so here's where I'm a little bit different. I don't want people dying on the streets. And I say this all the time. The Republican people, they're wonderful people. They don't want people dying on the streets. We're going to take care of them through maybe
the tape. I want to tell you, Blaine, how I interpret that. You tell me if I'm wrong. I like the mandate, Trump says, okay? But here's where I'm a little bit different. I don't want people dying in the streets, and I say it all the time. The Republican people, they're wonderful people. They don't want people dying in the street. You know what it sounds like to me? It sounds like Trump believes that Republicans – it sounds like Trump believes the image that Republicans are cold-hearted, mean-spirited extremists, and people dying on the streets, they don't care. So he says, well, I like the mandate – because I don't want people dying in the streets. And let me tell you something. My Republican voters, they also, it may surprise you. He didn't say that, but it's implied. It may surprise you. My Republican voters, they don't want them dying in the streets either. So it sounds to me like Mr. Trump's a Republican here and is trying to beat back this image that Republicans don't care about people. And so saying I don't want them to die in the street may be his technique or way of doing that. What do you think?
Myth that Republicans are unfeeling, uncaring, heartless people by saying that. Maybe he would create something like a catastrophic health care, which could insure those with pre-existing conditions and also be voluntary for those people that don't have insurance. Not making a mandate, but
see, here's the
if they want it.
He didn't say that. I mean, we can sit here and put what he meant was, or maybe what he's going to do, what we hope he's going to do. The problem with this now, this pre-existing condition stuff. In fact, let me review a little history. Can I remind you what happened with this? When they set up the pool, the way they handled this in the early days of Obamacare, there was a pool that you had to sign into that would allocate coverage for you if you had a pre-existing condition. And everybody was shocked at how few people actually signed up. Remember that, folks? Everybody was stunned because it's like every other myth. It had been talked about for so long that everybody in this country thought everybody had a pre-existing condition. And the insurance companies were so mean and so rotten and so unfair that they weren't covering anybody. And therefore, people with pre-existing conditions, a hell of a lot of them, were not being treated, couldn't get insurance, and may have been dying in the streets, who knows. So they set the pool up. Because they had to go about this because this isn't insurance. They had to set up an entirely new way of dealing with this, which is basically to set up a new welfare program. If you want to get down to the grassroots, talk about the brass tacks, it's a welfare program. It's not insurance. By definition, it's not insurance. I don't mean to offend anybody, but it isn't insurance. Anyway, the number of people supposedly so-called with self or pre-existing conditions that signed up shocked everybody how few it was. It was nowhere near what everybody had been led to believe because of the never-ending press coverage. So it turned out to be not that big a problem, and it certainly wasn't a big enough problem to totally overturn and upend the American healthcare system, just like insuring the uninsured wasn't. But that didn't matter. Reality didn't matter. Perceptions did. Perception was there were gazillions and gazillions that didn't have health insurance, and gazillions with pre-existing conditions the insurance companies were being mean to. And it was largely bogus in terms of the number. Associated Press, October 3rd, 2009, health overhaul centerpiece endures growing pains. The pre-existing condition insurance plan started this summer isn't living up to expectations. They have the money, and they didn't have nearly the applicants they thought they were going to have. It turned out to be not an emergency or crisis. Anyway, hang tough. Be right back.